Can I say something?
Say it.
Okay, we are actually doing a shorter episode today.
This is going to be the shortest episode of all time.
We always say we're going to do a 25-minute episode.
Hour and 5 minutes.
Like, and it's
every time.
Insane. We can't
stop talking. So this episode, we're wearing our frog hats, and we're keeping our thoughts to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Concise.
We're gonna try to be normal.
We're going to be so normal.
Okay.
So we asked our Instagram story. If you don't follow us at KissPod, you're missing out.
Please do.
We asked if anyone had any questions or advice on anything they want us to discuss on the pod. So we gathered a few that we would love to give you the quickest, most concise answers of all time.
Yes. Oh, God. I'm already like, oh, no. Okay.
I know. It's going to be hard for us.
The first one I actually feel really good about being concise about.
Okay.
How to distinguish a friend crush from a crush crush.
Ooh. What's your answer?
I don't want to kiss my friends. For me, it's so simple. I also don't really get crushes. You know that about me. I'm either like madly in love. Again, I can't be normal. I'm such a not middle gray area person. I'm either 0 or I'm 100.
That's
like, even
true.
with my friends.
That's true.
I'm madly in love with my friends. I need them to be my friend for the rest of my life. Or I'm like, we're acquaintances.
Yeah. I do think it's a little different in queer culture, the friend crush of it all.
This was a question for you.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
No, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm sure straight people have crushes on their friends that they're confused about maybe. But I think for me, what happened?
Sorry, Mike.
Oh, sorry. The hat.
We were expecting beanies and they're like headbands, but they don't.
Yeah.
They do keep moving. Sorry, that's
and the frog and toad don't have hair to put the comb of the tiara into. So like,
yeah, Amazon.com definitely thought we were putting it on human heads.
babies.
Yeah.
And I'm also sweating and it's hot in here. There's a lot going on, guys. But thanks so much. Like, I'm so grateful for this lovely, lovely day. I have had friendships where like I get, also because I think I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, that I get close to someone emotionally and I'm like, what does this mean? Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is super intimate. I had another friend, especially when someone's queer, even with Anna, I'll say it, Anna, like sometimes I'm like, in the beginning I was like, do I have a crush on Anna or do I just really want to be her friend? Like, I don't know. Like, it's like you get two queer people in a room. I think it's also in straight culture. It's like a man and a woman are friends and everyone's like, oh, they're in love.
True.
And it's like, wait, no, maybe you're not. But then sometimes maybe that gets to your head. I'm not answering the question. How to distinguish a friend crush from a real crush?
We should have maybe chosen questions we had answers
Maybe it is the kissing thing. Kissing. Maybe if you want to kiss them so bad, then like maybe that's a real crush.
I've never like gone home and thought about kissing my friend.
No, even the friends that I
have, but then I've had a crush on them.
Right.
Yeah.
The friends that I've had that I thought maybe I had a crush on, I never thought about kissing them. So yeah. Like, I also never thought about kissing men even when I was dating them.
Yeah, which is a whole
so that might be the answer. Kissing is always the answer.
Entirely. Yeah, I have a lot of male friends who I think are attractive dudes. I'm just not attracted to them. I'm never like sitting in my bedroom thinking, wow, like,
wish we could kiss.
Yeah, like never thinking that.
So I hope that
so
helps.
I could spend like days on end with them. I've lived with them, and it's like, that's my friend.
Yep.
I almost think of them as a Ken doll. Like, they got nothing going on. Like,
yeah,
they're girly. They're my friend. Like, it's just different.
Agreed.
But this question, not for me, I don't think.
If you're constantly trying to like touch them or like this and that, like maybe that's a crush.
Yes.
I don't do that with my friends.
Yeah, so true.
Even though I feel super emotionally connected to them. Next question. How do you deal with aging? So that's a crazy question for two 20-year-olds. I mean, 20-something-year-olds.
We're in our 20s.
I think the only thing for me is the pressure of like, especially because I am pursuing a career in the entertainment industry, I am like, oh, if I don't make it by 30, I might as well give up and also die because I'll be useless and worthless.
There are going to be so many more parts written for different kinds of women, though. Like, with every passing year, we see that. We see people like Michelle Yeoh, who started so much later in life.
Exactly.
Pursuing the career and like are now uber successful and winning Oscars.
Yeah. And what I always have told myself if someone's like, well, you can't do this because of this, I'm like, okay, well, I'll be the first. Like, and I wouldn't be the first, but like, if no one had ever made their acting career after the age of 30, okay, why can't I be the first to do it? Like, it's just, I don't believe in putting those kind of limitations on yourself. That's so stupid. I will write my own movie that I star in as a 30-year-old woman.
Dude, when I was 22 months before graduating college, I was kind of going crazy at this time because I would cry every day to my roommates about like, we're all not gonna live together anymore. And one day I saw a TikTok of these young girls dancing. I start sobbing in our living room. I'm like, we're never gonna experience young joy again. Like, sobbing. My roommates, I have a selfie of me like sobbing and they're like consoling me because I watched the video of young girls dancing and I was like, I don't have that like lease on life and that zest for life anymore. And it really does just come in waves.
Yeah.
And you get to start anew and be young again. And then I like got to grad school and I was the youngest by like years, and everyone was like, oh, you have nothing to worry about, you're so young. Like,
yeah,
at some point just make friends who are a little bit older and you feel so young.
Yeah,
that's always worked for me.
And can I say something also? I think that experience of like seeing kids when you're getting older and crying is kind of like weirdly beautiful in a way. Like, I went through a lot of mourning of like, I went through this period, I think when I was 23, which I always refer to as like the sunset of my childhood. Like, it really felt like I watched the sunset of like truly like the most innocent parts of my life where things aren't that serious. I was like, really, I'm an adult now, and I was so deeply distraught over it. But I made so much good art out of that era. I made so many good poems. I felt emotions more deeply than I had ever felt, and it's just like part of the journey of being a human. Like, I love feeling emotions, the good and the bad.
And we both want to be mothers, and I think you experience just a completely new set of emotions being like older, being a mom, caring about something else that much. Like, I don't even think I've scratched the surface of the human experience. So it's kind of beautiful that I hope we get to.
Yeah, I don't want to be stuck in a box of being 20. What, because I was hot? I'll be hot forever.
We're gonna be hot forever
because our hearts are hot. Next question.
Okay, we're doing well.
We're doing well.
Gone this
10
fast.
minutes.
Yes,
Let's
feeling
go.
Great.
Advice for getting over the male gaze. Do you have like a hallmark moment in your head of when you started really like living free of the male gaze?
I actually think, okay, so I've talked about this before on the pod, but in middle school, I was like made for the male gaze. We had this Ask a Femme at our school that every week would rank like the 10 hottest girls in our class. Was never on it, and that is a-okay because now I have a personality. And a lot of those boys have DM'd me, so feeling completely fine about that.
Yeah, you win.
Obviously, look at me right now.
They went like this when you said
so I like really wanted that, and then I have told the story, but oh my god, have you been seeing this thing in
Did
my
I fix
eye?
it?
It's freaking me out. No, I'm just gonna actually keep this one eye closed while I tell
No,
the
I think
story,
I
if
got
that's okay.
it. Are you feeling better?
I think you might have actually pushed it.
No, I didn't. Oh, I got it.
You got it. You got
that. Was satisfying.
I could feel it.
Ooh.
Oh my eyeball. Thank you so much. Okay.
This is a weird episode.
I can't tell you the things we've done today. You actually would
You'd
not
never
believe
understand.
It. You would not believe it, so I'm not even going to try. So then I went to this all-girls high school. The best thing that could possibly happen to a young woman, because
I'm still laughing. You're saying I pushed it. Okay, sorry.
Because like so much self-policing happens between the ages of 14 and 18, and I know if I went to a co-ed high school, I wouldn't raise my hand and ask questions or try to be smarter or try hard because I would be worried about what some guy in class thought of me. I know some girls aren't built like that. I was.
Yeah.
I care.
I would argue most girls are built like that. I have a real issue with people who make fun of pick-me girls because we've all been a pick-me girl.
There.
Anyone who says they've never been a pick-me girl is still a pick-me girl. Like, that's the truth.
We've all been. That's why I have so much empathy.
Yeah, me too.
Except for sometimes they're annoying, but like
sometimes they're annoying, yeah, but like we're not perfect. It's actually crazy. You were almost like forcibly removed from the male gaze because you went to an all-girls school.
That's what it was. It was literally like
it's kind of heaven on earth.
Heaven. I loved it so much. And then I went to college
and
with
men were
men
there
again, and then so I was a little bit back in the male gaze. For a while, it was just like, how do I appear hotter.
Yep.
And then I got it. I suddenly like had a glow up, like didn't do anything, just like it sort of happened to me. I got the male attention, and honestly that kind of broke me out of the male gaze, which I know is not a good answer.
Me too. Nothing will make you not want male attention more than getting male attention.
You're like, oh, this is so not what it's cracked up to be.
It's awful. Like, they're the worst.
It doesn't make you feel better about yourself. It's like this thing you're chasing. You get it, and you're like, oh, this is all it is?
This sucks. Because they're objectifying you.
It doesn't really make you feel more seen.
No. You're just, like, a good enough object for them now to make their crude remarks about.
Yeah. And then that kind of broke me out of it because I was like, this is so not worth it. And then I like thought about just how my female friends made me feel and how my work made me feel and ambition and goals and success. And then I was like, oh, that makes me feel so much better.
Yeah.
That it was kind of fine.
Something I love that you say, specifically when we would talk about the captain, and it was like you were kind of to pass me, like you can't make yourself better, hotter, whatever, into a man loving you. Like you can't get yourself to be better for a man to love you, and you're always like, actually be worse.
I have said this multiple times because when you're young and you really like a guy, you're like, the more I do for him, the more I can prove myself to him. Yeah. I think it was because you talked about folding the captain's laundry and I went and every time we edit it or watch it back, I'm like,
you gasp every time.
It's and like I gasp at the same time as like the video girl me.
And then we're like, oh my god, wait, you guys are so the same.
But it's crazy. Like, you think you can do all this stuff to get a man's approval or to get him to like you, and you will never be able to love a man harder into loving you more. And my whole thing is the only like, people are like, oh my god, how do you make a person like you? I don't even play hard to get. I am hard to get.
I love that. I say that all the time too.
Live so for you,
so authentically. It's kind of the whole I'm not playing hard to get, I am hard to get is very similar to the whole like effortless aesthetic. Like no matter how hard you try to be effortless, the only people who truly look effortless are people who are actually effortless. No matter how hard you try to act hard to get, people can sense when you are actually hard to get, and those are the people they're pursuing and that they want. Yeah. It is all kind of a game, but you can't really fake that. Yeah. You can feel it.
You actually just need to be like loving the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The
just
rest of your relationships.
A full, rich life outside of this person.
And the second you do something for the male gaze and you win, quote unquote, and you get that rush of like, I did it, you're gonna like really soon realize, oh, that's so not worth it, because now I'm trying to fit into this box that I have crafted for myself but doesn't really fit me. It's like buying a bunch of pairs of jeans that are not your size and then years later trying to get into them, and it's so uncomfortable
and feeling like you're doing something wrong when it's like these are just not the right jeans for you.
Yeah. Like, do you want to spend the rest of your life with someone you had to trick into being with you? Yes. And then not being yourself?
And then have to live in that weird fake version of yourself forever?
In a bad relationship?
Yeah.
God, no. That is draining. Like,
cut them early. Be the weirdest version of yourself as soon as you can.
And the happiest the happiest relationships I see are when, at least in straight relationships, are the ones where the girl doesn't have to be male gazy for her partner. He's just like one of the girls,
and he like really genuinely loves her anyway. Yeah,
it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that's hard. You have to kind of like go through it.
You have to experience it. Yeah,
but just trust us.
I think also, I will say quickly, one thing that helped me get over the male gaze is I realized how much more weight a woman's opinion holds. It's actually so easy to make a man think you're hot. It is so hard to, not hard, but like it's so much more satisfying when a girl tells you your outfit is cool than when a man does. And when I realized the rush that I got when women complimented me, I just completely changed my perception of like what I thought was cool, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I think that's what did it for me.
Yeah, and you're just like happier when you have community and you have your friendships. And to me, there's nothing cooler than someone who really knows who they are, even if it's like something society deems cringy. Or like if someone is like, oh, I don't drink. Yeah. And they can really say statements that you know are so true to them, and they have these clear boundaries not that they're pushing it on anyone, but people were like, oh, I don't do that, or that's not for me, or I like this, I don't like this. That to me is the coolest, most self-assured kind of person.
What were you just you were saying something.
Couldn't tell you. How do people who skip a meal fucking do it? I skip one meal, I'm out of commission. I'm so anxious, I'm like cranky, I'm forgetful.
Yeah. Should we just move? I couldn't not move on if I tried.
Maybe it's the universe being like, go faster.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you navigate internet burnout?
I take a break.
That was gonna be my answer. And I thought it was revolutionary.
To the detriment of my agents and managers who make money off me posting
like your
ads.
Job, yeah.
I take a break. I literally couldn't not.
You're the queen of breaks. It's funny because I think you do them very unintentionally almost. You're almost like, I can't do it right now.
I like literally can't do it anymore. I'm gonna freak out.
I do it intentionally where I'll just be like, I have it on my calendar of
really?
I'm due for 4 days of deleting TikTok.
Oh my god, that's so healthy.
In college, again, when I lived with roommates, one of my roommates had like the password to my daily screen time. And so I would have to go to him. I put this in place. This sounds like I put it in place that I would have to literally walk over to his room and be like, hey, like, I want to scroll on TikTok. Like, could you bypass it?
And he'd have to be like, are you sure?
Mm-hmm. And just the embarrassment of having to go to him and ask that was enough for me to like rarely ever do it.
My dad recommended, because like my dad gives my half sister a screen limit, and he was like, can I put one on your phone? Because I always complain about scrolling. And I said no. But like that could be huge for someone.
You know what really helped me? Downloading Substack, because it's so much less brain rotty than any other social media for me. It just doesn't feel the comparison.
So this is super controversial, but like that's how I feel about Reddit, which Reddit is so brain rot, but at least I'm reading.
I think you're researching, dare
I
I
am.
say.
I used to research so hard on Reddit, and it's less stimulating of like video. It's like, okay, I'm looking at a black and white screen of words.
People who do digital ethnography, that's what they do. They have to like read a bunch of internet forums and conduct thematic analysis. You're researching.
I'm researching. Yeah, when I need to like soothe myself at night, I take a little Reddit scroll. Yeah,
so we're still online, but we're reading words instead of consuming different kinds of content.
Could be huge. Also, you could replace the habit of scrolling with reading a book.
Sometimes, but like that's the thing with Substack is I like how it kind of
the same thing,
like scrolling. I still get to do this with my finger, and I can do it in the dark laying in bed. I love reading, but sometimes you just aren't cut out for that. You can't like open up a book sometimes.
Yeah. Also, something that helps me is if we're talking about, I think burnout from scrolling versus burnout from posting are totally super different. Burnout from scrolling, I'll like find a good show because even though you're still kind of brain rotting and consuming media, it's not the same level of brain rot as scrolling and getting all these people's opinions all at once, seeing every beautiful girl in the world. It's like a story that was well done and making you think, and that just kind of helps keep me occupied without going on my phone.
Completely agree. Perfect.
Look at us. Short and sweet.
We're doing so good today. Okay. Advice for having roommates and living on your own.
Do you have advice for having roommates?
I have a lot. I'm actually very passionate about having roommates. I was very excited to get this.
Really?
Yes,
okay, I'm so excited.
I'm an only child, so was always nervous about going to college and having roommates for the first time, because there's also this stereotype of only children being like horrible to live with and share things with. And I got randomly assigned a roommate who I was going to live with freshman year, who ended up, they were the best person ever. So easy to live with. And our college did this thing called a roommate agreement. So you sit down at the beginning and you write out what your expectations are, which is so smart. I highly suggest anyone do that with whoever you're living with, especially if you're living with friends.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get like, what time do you usually wake up, go to bed? What cadence do you want the dishes done? How do I communicate if I am like not feeling like doing the dishes? All these like nitty gritty things, even more imperative if you're living with friends, in my opinion.
True.
But it was just so nice that the system was sort of set up like that, and we communicated really well and gave each other a lot of grace. They lived close by. They weren't doing a big move to go to this college. I was moving like 3,000 miles away. Hi, Theo. And I was so homesick, was crying all the time. And they were so nice. Like, if I was crying, they would kind of leave the room or like give
little
me my
baby
space.
you, I can just imagine.
It was so sweet, and they were the best. Like, had no issues.
Yeah,
we were just good at communicating, and I'm huge on Benny of Doubt. BOD.
I was gonna say you're huge on BOD. I was waiting to be like, and one thing about you is you're huge on BOD, because I imagine with I haven't had a ton of roommate situations in my life, but I think that could really help.
You need to both be giving each other BOD, benefit of in every relationship, but especially with roommates.
Yeah, because as soon as you're assuming things are done with like this bad intention, or someone's just being lazy or neglectful, you start to kind of hate them and put this negative, and it just creates this negative spiral.
And like resentment
is so bad. I have experienced the most intense resentment with a partner who I lived with.
Yeah,
we resented the fuck out of each other, and it was the most like toxic, hostile living environment, because you walk to the bathroom the wrong way, and I'm like, and they're walking away, and I'm like flicking them off and like shaking my fist because I can't get the anger out of my body. It's just like, it's like poisoning yourself. It's not a good way to live.
Yeah. Oh, I've never lived with a partner. That sounds really, really tricky.
I don't think I'll ever live with a partner again, and
really,
I will have to change my mind.
You actually definitely will,
because I want to have babies, but like it's not something I'm super excited about.
Yeah,
maybe I'll feel really in love with someone one day and want to live with them, but like I love living alone.
Also, so many couple problems end up being like roommate problems, so if you can get that area of the relationship down pat, it does help a lot of other areas of the relationship.
I think just like regardless of your relationship with your roommates, friends, strangers from Facebook Marketplace, partner, treat it like a business transaction. Here are the boundaries, here are the expectations, here are my hard no's. Like one thing about me, I need alone time. I remember I lived with someone, like a couple people when I lived in LA, and this man was the most social person alive, and he was always sitting on the living room couch, and I couldn't get home at any time of day without getting sucked into a 45-minute conversation, and I avoided my apartment at all costs for that reason. And if I could have just been like, hey, I need to be alone right now, it would have changed everything for me.
Yeah, I would call it. So I lived with that random sign roommate for 2 years. We never became like close friends, but we worked super well as roommates, and I think we both knew we're not besties, but we respect and admire each other so much, and we were gonna like redo it for year 2, and then year 3 it was COVID, so I lived with my parents for 6 months, and then I lived with 2 of my best friends in the world for 6 months in Somerville, Massachusetts. And like living with your friends during the pandemic could go so well or so poorly. It went so well, and we had kind of a different approach to living together, because living with friends is just so different. Like living with a partner is so different.
I've never lived with friends.
It can be really good or really bad.
Yeah,
you know. And we'd traveled together, the 3 of us, one of who you've met, Annie. Like, she's just so great. And we traveled together, so we knew each other's idiosyncrasies already. And we're good enough friends where we could almost call each other on it.
That's like the best level of friendship.
It was awesome. Like, anytime one of us didn't do the dishes, who it was, we like sent a haiku to the person who had to do the dishes about having to do the dishes. Like, that was the way we communicated. It was just silly. It was light.
That's a really fun idea to add levity to kind of a hard conversation. Like, if I could have found a silly way to be like, wait, I can't hear you, sorry, I have to go to my room, and they'd be like, oh, she doesn't want to talk. Like, oh my god, that would have changed everything.
It was amazing. We would do like astronaut time. So
I've heard of that.
If you walk into the kitchen, you're like, I just want to cut my little apple without talking to anyone, you're like, astronaut time. And no one's allowed to feel bad about it. Like, it was really great. And anytime we had conflict, we would just talk about it, and it would be okay. I have nothing bad to say about any of my roommates. And then my 4th year, my senior year of college, it was like honestly the best living situation of my life. Aww. Which sounds crazy to people because it was 7 of us.
Oh yeah,
4 guys, 3 girls. I shared the bathroom with the guys.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Very new girl of me.
Yeah,
we had 2 bathrooms for 7 people.
That sounds like my nightmare.
Yeah, everyone who heard about it was like, oh, weird. The best year of my life, like hands down. It was so fun. Like, any sitcom you can imagine, more fun than that. Like,
sorry, I thought he unplugged. Hello? Okay. Sorry.
It was to me funnier than New Girl, Friends, like
I bet.
all of it.
That's kind of like I've always wanted to experience something like that.
It was like, and the thing is, I hope everyone gets to,
because
just, like,
think
live
about
near their friends.
how not every, but so many sitcoms are literally based on the fact that friends live near each other.
Yes.
Friends, Seinfeld, fucking New Girl, all of them. It's like, oh, I'm so jealous. That's
to
super
just like
fun.
walk over. And I think another big thing was, for most of us, it was our senior year, so it was capped. I think that's what made it so successful. We all knew this was our last year of college. We had missed a year of college due to the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
And we wanted to make up on lost time. And we all just kind of became obsessed with each other, like, kind of in a cliquey way. And my college didn't have frats or sororities. There was no Greek life. So we were, like, the party suite. So we would, like, throw parties.
Oh my god, I didn't know this. That's
was
so
literally
fun.
so
The
fun.
power to be the party suite.
I know.
I'm jealous.
It was awesome. But here's what I think saved us. Other suites on campus that were, like, a lot of people living together, they didn't have a good cleaning schedule. And cleaning is where resentment grows.
Exactly.
Because you're like, this person left dishes out. This person said they were going to vacuum and never vacuumed.
Yep.
We did, to this day, this is, like, one of my favorite memories of my life. Every Sunday, 7 p.m., you had to be there. We would turn on music. We had this amazing playlist. Everyone would clean.
Oh, that's
and
so
you had
sweet.
to, like, watch each other clean.
Yeah.
And huge acts of service girl, right?
True.
So seeing everyone take care of the space together, because Saturday night, everything would get sticky and gross, but no one's thinking like, okay, I'm going to be the one who has to clean this up in the morning. It became such a fun tradition for all of us to, like, put on music. And my friend Maya put this quote on the board every Sunday at 7 p.m. I will never forget it. It said, "Work is love made visible."
Oh,
isn't that so nice? Because it
beautiful.
really is like acts of service.
Yeah.
It's, I love you, so I will clean our bathroom.
Yeah.
I love you, so I will vacuum this area. I love you, so I will deal with the weird sticky thing over here.
Yeah.
And it became a way for us to show we cared about each other. And at the very end, the apartment would smell amazing, be clean. We would light a candle and sit down and, like, just talk for hours. And it was, I think that is what made the living experience good.
That's such a good idea.
Because
why don't more people do that?
I don't know. I don't get it. But I don't know how to tell people, like, I have the secret ingredient. I know how to do it. Because otherwise you're like, if everyone's cleaning at different times of the week, you don't know when someone else is doing something. And then you get home, you're like, oh, this isn't done. You're always thinking, I'm doing more. You don't get to see the action.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Versus when you just see everyone engage in it together, it really makes you feel more connected to the people and to the space. Like, we all
to the
love
space,
the space
too. The space is so full of love at that point. I really believe you can feel, like, love in a space or hostility.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. You can also completely feel tension.
Yeah,
and, like,
absolutely.
it was just one of the best years ever. And, like, I loved it. And then I went from that to living completely alone in a new city where I didn't know anyone, which is really hard.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm fine with it, but it was really hard for, like, a year.
And we could make another episode about that because you really killed the making friends game.
That's
you did,
nice.
ultimately.
Yeah.
Like, it was hard, but you still did it. And what was I gonna say? I think that that's just the answer of living with people is, like, finding a language, finding a system and finding a language. Like, I really think if there's a way, because there's nothing worse than having to have a hard conversation with someone that's, like, your friend or your partner. If you could even just find a little code word that's like, I have something to say, but I'm scared to say it.
Yeah.
Like, any, like, little system, and just, I don't know, I just imagine that would really work.
I really think so. And all of the people in that group went on to live with roommates in the future and brought up this idea of, like, Sunday evening cleaning. And a lot of their new roommates were like, we don't need to do that. Like, everyone just be normal and clean. We're all adults. And they, like, were like, no, just trust me. Let's try it for a couple months. Everywhere they took it, it has been so successful.
It makes sense.
You
I would love
that. Someone more when you see them take care of the space. Like,
yeah. And it's almost this weird accountability thing, because, like, I could, living alone, be like, okay, every Sunday at 7 I'm gonna clean, and then Sunday at 7 we'll roll around and I'll be like, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
But it's like same with the pod. Sometimes I'm like, I say I'm in a pod this day, I don't want to, but you're showing up and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in a pod. It's so nice to have someone to like hold you accountable.
That's the thing. I don't do it when I live alone.
Yeah, totally. Let's talk about living alone quickly.
Please.
Because living alone is so hard.
Yeah.
Living alone, I was so scared when I knew I was going to live alone. I would cry in therapy every single week because I saw myself as a very like incapable, scared person. Like at my old apartment with my partner, if there was ever a creak in the floor, I'd be like, did you hear that? What do you think that was? Like, I'm such a scaredy cat. And so I was like, I'm gonna freak out. There's no way I'm gonna be able to handle this. And in the beginning I did kind of freak out, but I've never been so confident in myself because I can handle the hard, scary things. Like when there's a bug, I have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like forces you into like this version of adulthood that's just so real.
Yeah. Do you find it very lonely?
Honestly, I love being alone, so it's really worked for me. My nightmare is ever living with anyone again. I think it was really hard for me living with someone because I would have preferred so much more alone time.
Yeah.
Especially because I work from home and content creation is something I prefer to do not in front of anyone.
Yeah.
So I personally don't get lonely, but I'm also a chronic isolator. So I wouldn't ever call it loneliness, but like it's so much easier to dip into a depressive episode when there's no one around witnessing how like disgusting you're being rotting on the couch. Like once Mal came over and I had my famous couch bed situation going, which is when the depression is starting to hit, I wake up and I take my pillow and my comforter to the couch and it feels like I got up for the day, but I just lay on my couch all day and no one's ever perceived me like that until you were like, this looks like a telltale sign of depression. And I was like, wait, oh my God, you're so right. And then I kind of stopped. But when you're not being perceived by anyone, it's so easy to pick up those bad habits.
Yeah, that's like the first thing that hit me when I started living alone was
the loneliness.
I love being alone too. I guess only child, but
oh yeah,
you also have a lot of only child energy.
I know.
So I didn't mind that. For me, it was more, I also didn't have a 9-to-5, right? So like I went straight into grad school. Like a PhD program is self-directed in a lot of ways because you have classes, but they're not like at 9 a.m. Like I didn't have to report to anyone in the morning. So the first couple weeks, months, I was like, I could sleep till noon and no one will know.
That's me. Yeah.
No one will be like, why didn't you wake up and do work? No boss is calling me. Like it was too open and wide.
It's too much power and freedom.
Too much power. And so I immediately started booking workout classes at 8:30 a.m. I was like, I need to have somewhere to be. Otherwise I will and they'll charge me if I'm not there. So I need to get there. And that really helped. And then I just booked myself crazy. I went to like every social gathering possible, went on so many friend dates. I didn't want to spend a single evening just wallowing.
Yeah, you're so good about that.
But it's so easy to wallow. And then winter hit and I stopped all of that and then I was very sad.
Yeah.
I also, my escapism is like traveling. I kept leaving and after I started living alone, I traveled so much to my friends who I used to live with. And at the beginning it was awesome. And then I started to see them move on. And not like move on from me, but
just inevitably
be like loving their new roommates
and establishing a new life. But I can imagine that being
and for me like queen of friend like, and it was all stuff I could vocalize to them. Like I love them so much, but I was like, you have a big full life here and I don't have one in Chicago yet. Yeah, like, and that is so
that's
scary.
So hard.
And love her to death. She was like, you need to be there more.
Good for her.
Yeah, she was like, don't come see me. We actually put in place, we were like, let's call less. So I can go and like make my big full life and like, and now we call it the same, cadence that we used to, but for a little bit I almost needed to put on my big girl pants and like be alone.
Yeah.
And she knew that like the sadness of being alone would push me to make friends.
That's exactly what happened to me.
But the comfort of being like, I can just always call you and I can always
oh my gosh, that's exactly what happened to me. Yeah, discomfort kind of breeds growth and evolution.
Yeah,
so true. Because when I moved, it was because my partner and I broke up, and I still was using him as a comfort blanket, and I would constantly be like, wait, but we can still be friends, why can't we hang out? Wait, I'm going to the grocery store, want to come with me? Like I just like couldn't let it go because it was my comfort. And then when we stopped, which was super healthy, I was so lonely that I was like, I literally need to make friends or I'm gonna die. And I did. Yeah,
you have to survive.
you do. Sink or swim.
Sink or swim, baby.
We're doing not our best on time, but not our worst. Are there any questions left?
Okay. I think we should end with one of these two.
Let's do this. One will be quick.
Let's do both. Okay.
So someone asked us, do you have a certain number of podcasts in mind, or will you keep going as long as possible? In my dream world, Kiss Castle lives on forever.
Becomes a cult. It takes over the world. Everyone's a kisser.
We're on tour. It's selling out. We have to like keep adding stops to every state because like the governor is begging us because it's so good for the economy. Like it's crazy.
They're calling it like Eras Tour Part 2.
It's weird. I don't know.
And we're a little uncomfortable with that.
Right. We don't like the comparison.
Yeah.
No, but we have no plans of. Here's what it is. We have a goal in mind, and if we reach this goal, then we have no plans of stopping after that.
I'll be honest, after we released our first episode,
no one knows the darkness that day held.
Yeah. We had been so excited for this day. It came. First of all, we weren't together. We were in 2 different cities, and it was a hard day.
It was a dark day.
And I'm going to be so vulnerable and honest here. We have both created on TikTok for a couple years, which really inflates numbers.
Oh my gosh,
It doesn't inflate numbers, but in our heads,
your perception.
Yeah, our perception of numbers is very different. So to go from other platforms to YouTube,
where you get maybe 63 views,
it was like hard. It was hard.
I was actually like mortified. I was like, should we delete it? We would love to keep going. I do think like we are in debt to the pod. Like we are in the red. We're in the red. Would love to like neutral out one day. That could be like a huge goal of ours.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long we could just like be in debt to a podcast and take the time and resources it takes to do it.
Yeah.
If we like never grew from here. But I believe so much in the Kiss Castle and the Kissers and the community and the cult.
So please rate us. You
like, it's kind of all in your hands. No pressure.
No pressure at all.
But like, tell your friends.
Word of mouth is huge.
And our very last question.
Our favorite memory of each other.
Our favorite memory of each other.
I know mine.
You do?
Mine is so easily either the Magic Week where we like buckled in and recorded a lot of pods. It was like our work week.
We were so weird.
So weird. Or the Met.
I was gonna say the Met because it was our first trip together.
Yeah.
And I think the first trip I've ever taken with anyone that was just platonic. And you really like broke the ceiling for me of what friendship can mean past the age of 13. Like I haven't had oh my god, I'll start to cry. I'm also hungry. Like I hadn't had a best friend, like a true best friend where like I can be so gross around you. It could be so weird. I can be so annoying and I feel so comfortable. Like I remember when you first started wanting to hang out, I kind of would dread it a little bit because I'd have to be this like capital Madeline A. Ford performance version. And now I'm like, oh my god, come over all the time. I feel so like I'm alone with you, if that makes sense. So going on that trip felt like a huge, like I was nervous because there was really no escaping each other for a couple of days.
We were like in a hotel bed together.
We had to share a bed. Like it was the best time ever. I was so sad when it ended. Like I had like literally the best time.
And I love that like anytime I want to do something, you're already like, I want to do this thing.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, it was just kind of perfect. It was like what I would do alone, but a million times better because we were together.
And I've just never felt sick of you, and I never, not that there's anything wrong with feeling sick of your friends. I think that's like super normal human emotion, but I never felt like, oh my god, I'm panicking because my makeup looks bad, but I need to act normal. I can just say like everything I'm thinking out loud. And you're so sweet about it. We
always are like,
one thing about us, we never stop talking.
Stream of consciousness.
Constantly.
To each other, yeah.
And I've never, ever, ever felt shamed for anything I've said.
Me neither. It's so special.
It's so special. Okay, well, if I wasn't going to say the Met, what would I say? Honestly, this keeps coming to mind. I don't know why, but my birthday when you gave me the poem you wrote me. That was like the most magical moment of my life. Like I haven't cried. Do you remember you gave it to me and you were kind of like, I don't know what you were doing, and I was reading it and you looked at me and I was
the next time I looked over, you were sobbing,
like real sobbing.
Yeah.
Like I haven't cried like that in so long. It felt really good, but like I just like the amount of love I felt in that moment and in that act, I don't think I've ever felt platonically ever in my whole life.
Aww.
Like it was like so special. Like I still to this day cannot believe you wrote that for me and like feel those ways about me. Like, and I'm such a words girl that it is like the ultimate gift for me. I'm like, no one's ever put, I was just like, oh my God, you like really actually like me.
Yeah. Like, which is crazy because I try to tell you that so much.
And I don't believe it, but
yeah.
I actually believe that you like me, which is, that was just like the most beautiful gift I'll never, ever, ever forget. Best gift anyone's ever given me. And I'm so grateful.
I love you.
And you're the best writer in the world. Like, I'm just lucky you're so good at writing and that I love words so much. I just got lucky.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
But like I was gonna say, every day we spend together, at the end of it, and this is not me being facetious, I'm always like, that was the best day ever.
We text each other every time. Wait, was that the best day ever?
It was lit.
And we're being so honest.
That's the thing, and I can be in any mood waking up. I can be like tired, worried, anxious, stressed. We spend a day together, and at the end of it, it's like I feel healed.
Yeah.
Like
I feel motivated. I feel
Yeah.
driven. I feel inspired. It's so fun. And I used to be like, are we being dramatic by saying that every day? But I think it is the best that day could have ever been. And I love how your vlogs are always like, it's September 17th and it never will be again. And so when we say it, I'm like, that was the best September 17th, 2024 of all time.
that's exact. And it's like, if there's a million timelines and I got to live this timeline's day, how lucky am I? Because it was the best day. Like,
oh, that's exactly how I feel. That's so fucking cute.
yeah. I love you.
I love you too. Ah, okay.
Okay. 1,
2, 3. Mwah!